Just like my divorce, today's movie is fast approaching its 25-year anniversary. But unlike my divorce, this actually features a hot woman treating a man fairly. Hi guys, Sulieman here, and today I'm getting ready to take you behind the scenes to reveal never before seen secrets for the production of one of the best movies of the 90s. And no, not Space Jam, but rather cult classic, The Galaxy Quest. So without further ado, let's get jiggy with it. The lead alien race in the movie, called the Thermians, were played by real-life spastics and not by normal actors just doing silly walks. All the performers featured as Thermians have dyspraxia, the same condition that actors such as Daniel Radcliffe and Robert Downey Jr. have, although the latter only seemed to have had it in the mid-90s when he couldn't stop getting paralytically drunk outside of nightclubs at 2 in the morning. The condition affects coordination, and it's highly suspected that director Uwe Boll also suffers from the disorder, given he can't coordinate a coherent film to save his fucking life. The scene early on when Nesmith is drunk and wakes up with a hangover is because the actor Tim Allen was going through a bitter divorce and kept turning up to the set high on glue.
Oh yeah!
So they had to write in an early scene to disguise why he looked like a fucking wreck during that block of shooting. The sequence where Tim Allen is sent shooting through the universe wrapped in space goo was inspired by a classic scene in the first Naked Gun movie, where Leslie Nielsen dresses up in a full-body man-sized condom to pork Elvis' scorching hot widow. The first Naked Gun movie is said to be Tim Allen's favourite of all time, especially the part where O.J. Simpson gets shot multiple times in the opening. Alan Rickman's self-loathing for being a washed-up fading actor having to contractually star in a low-grade sci-fi picture was not originally part of his character, but the writers decided to add it in after seeing the depressive bitter contempt he brought to the set every morning of the first few days of production.
By Grabthars hammer. What a savings.
During the scene where Sam Rockwell screams in panic after transporting to the Thermian ship, the first few takes of his screams were actually unusable, as his voice was rendered too hoarse from a cold he was just getting over. So instead, producers brought over a vacuum cleaner from a nearby janitor and fixed the nozzle to the end of his Johnson, and then simply letting the cameras roll after setting the pressure gauge to super suck mode. Legends say he's still screaming to this day.
Oh yeah!
Similarly, the sound effect used by the Foley team for when the ship is scraping against the hangar bay during launch was captured by using the very same super suck vacuum on a bunch of beach dolphins as they lay dying. Here's a sample of that sound now. During the minefield sequence where sparks are shooting around the deck and Gwen DeMarco has to dive out of the way of the fires, actress Sigourney Weaver's cleavage was so exposed that production had to shut down for 3 weeks on account of her scorched norks. She later sued both the special effects coordinator and the lead costume designer for not taking adequate care of the lead actor's ample assets. This led to an industry-wide policy of more modest costuming in the modern TV and film landscape, and is why you never really see heaving busts in the Marvel movies these days. The animation created for the sequence with all the small alien creatures was an early beta test for the same motion capture technology that Andy Serkis would go on to use for Gollum in Lord of the Rings only a few years later. Here they brought in 21 dwarves to lark around in a trough of water for 3 days and complete with little orange dots all over their faces. Though Tim Allen turned up late to the set one day and in a drunken haze thought they were actual little children who had broken out in chickenpox and thereby actively tried to quarantine them all in the craft services truck. Production had to shut down for 3 more days, whilst Allen sobered up and felt satisfactorily assured that his many co-stars were of no active threat. Actor Alan Rickman actually took a punch from co-star Tim Allen whilst filming the Planet Escape sequence. It wasn't scripted, he was just sick to death of the British thespian stealing all the orange Smarties out of his dressing room pantry, and the producers just wrote a scene around it. To get the required effect from the dead animal prop being turned inside out after the failed teleportation, the crew took a real-life mutilated animal carcass said to have been left behind by a UFO abduction on a local shepherd's farm the night before, close to where the production team was staying. The design crew then shoved mushed up pineapple into a specially rigged Super Soaker 5000 and sprayed that shit out of every nook and cranny of the sheep's bloated corpse. Apparently, when inadvertently ingested, it tasted of Lucozade. The lead female alien really was that pale. The actress had a known hemoglobin issue, as in she barely had any in her body and so no makeup was necessary for the role. Thus she was soon cast on account of being so cheap, and the cosmetics crew saved a fuckload on Maybelline. Galaxy Quest was Justin Long's big break in the industry. You may know him from such movies as Alvin and the Chipmunks, Drag Me to Hell, and that gay porno you accidentally downloaded by mistyping his name into LimeWire back in the day. An infamous urban legend was also sprung from this movie, specifically in regards to a report that a stuntman actually died during the Chomper segment of the film, where he mistimed a jump in rehearsal and got squished like a despondent mayfly on a trucker's windscreen. But panicking execs from DreamWorks soon covered it up and used parts of his mushy corpse for the mangled animal teleportation scene when they had to come back for reshoots. Director Dean Parisot challenged actor Alan Rickman to improvise a silly line in his audition for his role as Alexander Dane. Thus, the iconic line by Grabthars' hammer was totally unscripted and ad-libbed by Rickman when he was put on the spot, as it was the first thing that came into his head and what he always tended to cry at the moment of climax.
Matron.
There has always been a persisting rumour that in order for the two leaders of the opposing alien species to get into character and foment a believable rivalry, that the actors playing Mathasar and Saris engaged in a temporary homoerotic affair. One in which actor Robin Sachs would use Saris' head pincers to lightly tickle Enrico Colantoni's anxious ball bag. This, however, had the opposite effect and led to the pair forming a lifelong bond which still lasts to this day. Also, it resulted in Colantoni finding his character's unique whimper squeal in a most unusual and arousing way. The movie's budget was one of the lowest in Hollywood at the time, and things quickly spiraled out of control when Harvey Weinstein visited the set with a briefcase full of dildos, whilst Alan Rickman started oppressively binging on the production's free donuts. The two incidents were not thought to be connected, although it was noted that a lot of the cast were seen to be walking funny for a few days after Big H's visit. Coincidentally, the producers suddenly managed to source another investment stream around the same time and were able to continue shooting with the surprise benefit of a now increased budget. Also, actress Sigourney Weaver seemed to be a lot happier after her private mentoring session with Weinstein, and went on to have a remarkably successful career, mainly due to her iconic roles in 2003's Holes, as well as the voice of the ship's computer in Disney Pixar's WALL-E. Few researchers know this, but the movie was actually based on a true story. According to leaked whistleblower documents from an ex-Area 51 agent on his deathbed, a race of aliens called Spiffenspoffers contacted us after accidentally intercepting old broadcasts of classic 60s BBC show Doctor Who, and would regularly beam up William Hartnell and a bemused Ian to help them take on their arch-nemesis, the Spoffenspiffers. The writers then took the seed of this event and made it into a farcical fictitious satire to hide the truth in plain sight. In the tragic wake of actor Alan Rickman's death, leaks have now surfaced of the TV reboot reportedly being resurrected by J.J. Abrams' production company, Bad Reboot. Bad Robot. According to anonymous random sources on 4chan, early considerations for the casting are as follows. Tom Hanks as Tim Allen's Jason Nesmith. Margot Robbie with a boob job as Gwen DeMarco's heaving bosom. Martin Freeman as a perpetually exasperated Alexander Dane. The ghost of Fred Willard as Fred Kwan. Scott Eastwood as Guy Fleegman. Michael B. Jordan as Tommy Webber. The girl from that Blurred Lines video as the lead female bimbo alien. Featuring Seal as General Saris because he already has a skin condition, so that would save even more dosh on the makeup. And starring special guest Warwick Davis in a tiny mocap suit to portray all the vicious little alien children because playing insufferable midgets is kind of his thing. And finally, introducing Mark Zuckerberg as Quelek, the awkward robotic alien who fails miserably at mimicking human motion. According to reports, Mark was allegedly cautious and rather anxious to take on the role, but eagerly accepted when incoming director Michael Bay assured him that there would be no acting required on his part. So there we have it, 18 behind-the-scenes insights into the making of classic 90s movie Galaxy Quest. So what do you think? Is the movie deserving of its cult classic status? Is it indeed a laugh-out-loud satirical love letter to Star Trek, or more of a painfully unfunny train wreck like any movie made by Aaron Seltzer and Jason Friedberg? And do you think the rumoured reboot will ever see the light of day? Let us know down in the comments. And be sure to like, share and subscribe for more mind-blowing behind-the-scenes facts and insider gossip on upcoming productions. I've been Sulieman Boobieman, and until next time, stay groovy and always wear a full-body condom.